Suicide, I was going to ask you about that. That's very prevalent.
Yeah, initially it is, I'm better off dead, and it's not.
Than alive. Why don't I just die? Why just I don't fall down and die?
Maybe I'm a burden to others.
Maybe I did something wrong. God's crucifying for me. This God's blaming me for this. God doesn't do bad things like that.
And it's symptoms of the illness. It's the illness that's making one think that way. And it gets to a point when the mind starts to think, maybe what will I do to get myself out of this world?
You have to figure,
what's important that I find that my patients and their families really, it helps. They tell me that helps that to know that it's not because you are irresponsible. It's not that you don't love your children that you're thinking so. It's part of the illness. Just like when we have an infection, we don't choose for our temperature to go up. It does. And it's important that we ask directly, are you thinking about this? Or if you start thinking about this, let me know.
Yes.
Okay, and let's have a game plan for it. You know, let's if most people will hold on to something, maybe their faith, something, but at the point where it can't hold, that's when it becomes emergency. Get them to
what
see
kind
someone.
of medications do you, well, I know you maybe probably prescribe some. What's the best medication? And I've talked to a lot of people, they talk about Valium. They've taken Percocet, I think you call it, and sleeping pill stuff. And I just don't want, I'm strong. I have to be for what I've lived through all this life. Knock on wood, thank God for that. But I'm just saying, I will fight to the end before I take a pill. I will. I'm going to do this. So I get on a bicycle every morning and I ride it for 20 miles nonstop.
Good for you.
And that takes me 1 hour. I can do 10 miles in 30 minutes, 20 and 60. And I get off that thing, I have got energy like Superman. Woo, I can fly through the house. But if I didn't do that, I don't know where I would go to. I don't know what I would succumb to if I didn't do that bicycle. That's my salvation, as well as my prayers, and But I love that bike. So ladies, get out there and exercise. It's only a walk.
It's all helpful. But let me, you mentioned something that's very important. The reason why people don't usually feel comfortable going for help is some of the myth that, and I'll hear people say, I was the strong one in my family. And I say, you're still the same strong one because you're still the same strong one who was flawed by the flu. Or was flawed by, it's an illness, you're still strong, okay? And that it's not because we are human beings, we're going to get some human illness. What we know, what science now knows is that mental illnesses are brain diseases. The brain is an organ, brain diseases. And getting it is a combination of genes that we inherit, but that's not the only thing. Combined with a social and psychological environment, especially childhood. So you can have the same, children from the same parents, so they have similar genes, okay? They go through, but it depends on, childhood neglect, childhood abuse, losses, and how it's dealt with. It puts at risk, it influences the risk of having such diseases. So I want to stress to people out there who are suffering from various kinds of mental illnesses that you are strong. The fact that you are even dealing with these illnesses and people are still parents, they are still workers, they are still helping, you are strong. And it's not because it's weak, it's because these are illnesses that we succumb to. Now, you mentioned the issue of medications. Again, it's like any illness. If you go to a physician, okay, you tell him about your problem. His responsibility, is to explore comprehensively, not just what you come with, but the ones you haven't talked about, to try and find out this sleep problem that you're talking about. Is it from this illness or this illness? And especially in this day of, we all physicians say we don't have much time and the medical, but it's important to know that especially for psychological problems, the physician or the clinician has to know your past. It's not just what you brought. They have to know whether you've had problems in the past, similar things, your family history. They have to know all that for you to be able to get a correct diagnosis, which was the basis of the article you read, right. That they have. And not all illnesses need medication. Some people need
agree with that,
counseling.
Yes.
You know, sometimes by the time they come, it's been a long time. It's affecting people's marriages are breaking down. They're losing their jobs.
Yes. Because, you know,
not
men don't understand women.
But well,
when you go through a loss like that, a woman grieves a lot worse than a man grieves. Because a man doesn't want to cry and show tears. You know that, oh, I'm strong and I'm macho, you know.
But they're hurting inside.
Yes, and then they take it out on, I have known it. I work in the field of domestic violence, and so many women are beaten because men are so angry with this, like this, because something happened to them, and they can't get it out, so they bounce their wives around. And I hope you get mad at that too. I really do. Because it's happening all around me.
And they need to know that there is help.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's from past experiences that they haven't had the opportunity to deal with. You know.
Yes.
And they sometimes say, "I care for this person," and yet
you don't show it. They don't know.
It's not showing. There is help. There is help. Counseling. There is counseling one-on-one.
Well, there's you.
There is joint counseling.
I would come to you. I
yes,
really would.
When you are on medication, I tell people, if all you do is medication, you're only getting a part of your treatment.
You're not going to heal the problem.
No.
It's always going to be there.
It's about counseling. It's not just advice giving.
Yes.
Because you can call Dr. Phil up, or you can read in the books that you can call up. Counseling is really exploring with you.
Yes.
Exploring with you, working your journey with you, and increasing the things that have helped you cope, and the things that have been, things that have not been dealt with, the issues to help you cope better. Counseling helps with communication, because sometimes people are talking, but they are unable to hear each other.
Yes.
So counseling is not just talking. So you need a whole array of things. You need your friends, you need your family, you need somebody, you need a shoulder to cry on.
Right.
And that's okay. So you need a whole array of things.
We went to see a movie, I don't remember the name now, but my husband and we took my sister with us, and I laughed until I cried. I haven't had that feeling. When I walked out of that theater, I felt like I was floating, not touching the ground, but I was floating. So I would recommend, I'm going to go see more movies. I have to. But I still take pride in my home. I still do my cooking, my grocery shopping, because I watched my mom. My mom would start drinking from sun up to sundown, and she would be staggering around the house all day drunk. And she was a very, very mean person. That's when after my brother drowned, because my father said, "It was your fault, Dorothy. If you'd have gone to the swimming hole with him, our son wouldn't have drowned." And every day my dad did that to her, and she took it and she took it. And I said to myself, God, if I ever lose a child, I'm not going to take the road my mother's on.
And that's the tragic, we hear such tragic stories.
Yes.
And some of them, maybe your mom, now, she could have got help. Maybe your dad could have got help.
She had a sweetheart. I know she did. But, I was the kid that she beat up all the time. There were 6 of us. But it was me, because she says, you're the toughest, you're the strongest, and you're going to need it the most. And I was slapped back and forth and things like that. I mean, my head was stuck under the water in the bathtub, thinking I'm going to drown. I've never gone swimming in my life because of that.
And all that you've gone through,
yes,
and how you have coped with it and survived,
yes,
and more than survived, that's why other stressful things you've developed your coping. And even those who didn't, there is help. It's never too late to get help.
It's never too late.
You mentioned alcohol and other substance abuse. We know our young ones, increasingly.
12-year-olds are on crack. I know several of them.
We know that a significant number of people who are hooked on drugs and alcohol also have mental illnesses that have not been identified, in the past, in the 80s.
It started in their homes, though. That's what you don't think about, a lot of people. You see it, you live it, and you can break away from that cycle. I'm not a doctor, but I know in my heart you can break the cycle and you can come back.
Yes, and some people can do it on their own, some can't, and there is hope. There is help. These days there is help.
Right.
And if you talk to, many people's point of first call is their family doctor. Or for children, the parents, take to the pediatrician and ask, what are the resources? What is available? Because these illnesses are not, they kill.
They can kill you.
They can kill. It's a pity that, you know, ages 10 to 19, it's found that the cause of death, suicide, is only second to accidental injuries. Ages 10 to 19. That is sad.
It's very
but
sad.
There is hope. So you parents out there, loved ones,
you're going to come back. I'm going to have you come back on the show with you guys.
I will. You know, it's so very important.
Because I know so many young people who are gorging themselves on food because they're unhappy. And then the bigger they get, the heavier they are, the worse they feel about themselves. And by God, that's not, as long as I'm alive and on this show, I'm going to continue doing these things. But our 30 minutes isn't going to be enough. We just haven't even touched the iceberg yet. Because food, I mean, I will see young girls, oh, I'd love to be skinny like you. I said, well, why do you want to be skinny like me? Because that's what people want. But what do you want?
Exactly.
You see? Exactly. And that's what I want to get the word out there. Young people are destroying one another, either with guns, drugs, or food. And it's all because of the pain in their hearts from growing up.
Yes. Yes.
My happiest time was when I wrote my first book, okay, and it came out on the publishers. I went to the cemetery where my mom is buried. And I says, Mom, this is your little girl who you said was a nothing, a nobody. You're never going to be nothing and a nobody. I'm going to read you my book. And I sat there and read her half of that book, and I went back and read her the other half.
Good for
because
you.
I was so proud that I put all of my feelings down on paper, and teenagers are going crazy reading that book.
A big help.
When a door closes, a window opens. That's what I call my story.
And people like you who are sharing your story, it helps others know, because what they see is on the outside.
Yes.
Okay, they don't know what you've been through.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful, and God bless you that you're doing this.
Well, God bless you for coming here today. I'd like to see you come back a couple more times if you would.
I will.
Because we got to talk about the men. Now the men I'm strong. There's nothing wrong with me, but all of a sudden they're gaining weight. They're drinking more. They're arguing more. They're slapping around their wives. They've got to knock it off.
And from experience, when they know there is help, they do get it, because everybody wants to be at peace. People just don't know how. So
we're going to show them how. Our time is up.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoy this show. If you think it's too strong for your children, don't let them watch it. But if you have any questions, if you'd like to write any notes to me or anything like that, please let me know. And this show will be on YouTube tonight. So thanks for watching. Until next time.